Hello, I am Charles Napier and I am a UTEP graduate with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice with my minor in business management. Originally, I wasn't enthused with school and chose not to apply myself. However, when I found a teacher who helped me understand the real world better through applications and solutions that are taught in the classroom, I found myself more enthused to go to school every day. Since then, I have finished my degree and started my career as a master's student at UTEP. This is my second semester in the master's program. I am a senior on the UTEP football team and I work part-time as a weight room manager at the Westside YMCA. My presentation will cover the mastering of the language of leadership and the key enablers as mentioned in The Secret Language of Leadership by Stephen Denning. The language of leadership can help maximize the effectiveness of communication from a leader to a listener in different situations throughout one's career. To understand the mastering of language of leadership, one must look at the key enablers as mentioned in the book. The first key enabler is being able to articulate a clear and inspiring change idea. Once a person or group of people have set an inspiring goal, they will oftentimes be visually more motivated to succeed in day-to-day activities. A little more pep in their step and eagerness to get to work and make changes, oftentimes for something that they consider better or more than themselves. This can be easily seen in religion or in the military, as work is never work for work's own sake, but instead work has a greater purpose and has a defined ultimate goal that is on the individual's mind through day-to-day work. The reason why they need this idea to inspire change is because for an individual to be truly inspired, one must be actively trying to change something, not to stay in the same routine. That is why oftentimes a person might go to a different event throughout the year to stay inspired by listening to a success story or motivational people to help them keep moving forward. This can be seen oftentimes in sales aspects, as people will become stagnant in their sales or their productivity. They will go to different meetings and communities that can teach them better ways to stay motivated and to make more sales. This can also be seen in religious aspect. Some people might go to church every single week so that they can get their ultimate goal done. The second key enabler when talking about the language of leadership is committing to the story of change. A leadership role must be wanted because a leader must not only motivate themselves on a daily basis, they must also motivate others on a daily basis, even when they aren't feeling it. That is why for someone to truly lead, they have to be completely committed to their leadership position. There cannot be an effective leader who is halfway into the leadership role of a company. A change is impossible to occur unless someone makes it happen. The story of change must have an end that can oftentimes be the difference from a successful community and what is not a successful community, because they have a light at the end of the tunnel that they are working for to better themselves. The third enabler is the mastering of the audience's story. This is so important to an effective communicator because unless they know the situation and the motivation of the group that they are talking to, they cannot relate and are not able to communicate with the audience. The speaker must know and be able to relate with the individuals they are talking with, or else their point will fall on deaf ears. Someone who doesn't know the audience can bring a very good and well-written speech that lays out real problems with solutions to the problems. However, since they did not connect with the audience, they might as well not have talked at all. A good example of this can be a person who talks at different high schools across the nation about drug use and the consequences of drug use. However, if they go to each high school the same way, they cannot effectively communicate to the different audiences and the different types of people that they are talking to. An effective leader will take into account the listener's personal background and story into the speech, oftentimes making connections to the plight of each school or group in particular. This can be seen in both military and sports as well. Oftentimes, officers in the military are required to go through certain trainings that the enlisted men will have to do so that they can understand what they are asking their subordinates to do. I feel that this is the most important point because even someone without a life-changing message or understanding of the message is able to lead the masses through the connection and motivation that they have with them. Understanding your audience's values and how you can match those values in your own end goal can help the company be a more successful and effective company and yourself an effective communicator. The next enabler is cultivating narrative intelligence. Cultivating narrative intelligence is the understanding that everything we do involves stories and how we perceive them. The cultivation of this intelligence is the ability to understand that we, as humans, dream in stories, communicate in stories. All of our fears, hopes, and thoughts are in story form and are able to be told to others in an inspiring or informative way. Stories are the way of humankind since the dawn of time and will continue forever. We as humans live life in a story cycle. We are able to dissect every single day into different parts of our stories while keeping a larger life story together. A new story takes inspiration for change of some sort. All leadership needs the inspiration to change. Without the inspiration to become better or want to become better, there can be no change. The commitment to telling authentically true stories is the fifth enabler. This is important because transformational leadership cannot be done without genuine leadership. Transformational leadership is not only the widest spread style of leadership, it is also the most effective styles of leadership in use today. Transformational leadership is a leadership position that motivates others to do more than they originally intended to do or even thought was possible. Transformational leadership uses idealized influences where followers see leaders as role models that they admire, respect, trust, and consequently want to emulate their leaders' high standards of ethical behavior. This style of leadership takes trust and honesty from leaders to followers, and the commitment to telling authentic, true stories is needed for real communications so that there can be real change for the individual. The last enabler is deploying the body language of leadership. Body language is very important when leading and talking to an audience. It is important for a leader to inspire the community and cannot appear unsure or unclear of anything that they are trying to communicate. A leader should be able to read the body language of the audience to be the most effective communicator that they can be. A leader should not be downtrodden or sullen, and at times leaders shouldn't be over-enthusiastic or fake. Non-verbal communication is oftentimes the most important communication that we have, as one can see the true meaning and feeling that the person is saying without them ever talking. Nonverbal communication is not just body language. Slumped shoulders and crossed arms can mean hidden, but someone having a hiss or yell in their voice can also be nonverbal communication that we have to imply and understand to be more effective communicators. A good extended example of mastering the language of leadership and the key enablers would be my head coach for football, Sean Kugler. My head coach must be able to lead in a multitude of ways, including public speaking to servitude. Public speaking to a large group, he must inspire his followers to be more than they could be otherwise. He must be able to effectively communicate in an oftentimes hostile environment through storytelling and inspiring the players around him. For this, he must be authentic in his articulation of inspiring ideas. One way he does this is through comedy. My coach will bring together around 100 individuals that are on the team and will put a projector of the top 10 and bottom 10 plays from the previous practice. In doing this, he will make jokes or point out on each clip explaining how to do something better or praising the work done, motivating the pursuit of perfection of the game of football. One thing that must happen when this is done is coaching. This type of coaching oftentimes involves calling someone out and making fun. This can seem insensitive or even hurtful to certain people. He is able to bypass this hurtful stage by making light of the situation. A good example of this would be when someone gets ran over on defense by trying to make a tackle. Instead of simply saying, "You're a terrible player, be better or leave," he will say, "You see how you stopped your feet and dropped your head? You will always get ran over. Every single time this happens. Heck, even I could run you over, and I have 2 fake hips." He took a real problem and addressed it. A defender getting ran over. He coached the player on how to be better. Do not drop your head and do not stop your feet. And then he made everyone laugh, pointing at himself to make fun of, averting the negative attention from the individual. And now the group can remember the coaching as positive, funny, uplifting, and possibly even making a bad situation good. So, overall, we saw how an effective leadership can communicate through the language of leadership. We discussed the 6 key enablers that come with the language of leadership and how they can be used effectively for a speaker to talk to a group or one-on-one. We discussed transformational leadership and how it is necessary for the changes that are made to be genuine from leaders so that the followers can have real changes also. I chose the language of leadership because I feel that it has affected myself more than other ideas mentioned in the books. I have dealt with a multitude of effective and ineffective leaders. Oftentimes, my coaches will try and communicate and lead myself through ineffective ways, and I have chosen to learn from these occurrences instead of resenting them. Oftentimes, poor coaching leaves me unmotivated, and I believe that everyone has listened to an ineffective leader and have become disinterested or unengaged in something that could have been a large part of someone's life. The inability to make a mutual goal for a team to buy into is what I feel is the ultimate difference between an effective leader and an ineffective leader. This can range from school, work, sports, and even the military. One can see the key enablers mentioned in everyday life. And as a UTEP football player, I am happy to be able to effectively see and understand why some speakers are more effective than others. And most importantly, I am happy that I can know how I can be a more effective leader and communicator in my own future. Thank you. Have a great day.